But the other semi-final, the holders, Lyon, were back in France after winning the first leg away from home against Wolfsburg 2-0. They were back home in the Parc Olympique Lyonnais. I was at the game, JJ. I have to say, the Parc Olympique Lyonnais, what a stadium. Unbelievable. One of the best arenas I think I've had the pleasure of watching football in, men or women. Felt very, very privileged and very fortunate to go to that game. The game itself was frantic, if I'm being honest with you. It was end-to-end. Both legs were, to be fair. And it was actually Wolfsburg that came away with the victory, but it wasn't enough. They won 1-0, courtesy of a second-half Caroline Hansen penalty, the Norwegian international, who scored the goal. But it wasn't enough as Lyon progressed 2-1 on aggregate. Good win for Wolfsburg, but not quite enough.
Well, they'll be disappointed that they didn't do more at home. I think you and I were a bit surprised to see that result coming out of Germany in the first leg, thinking that, well, you know, Wolfsburg, this is always kind of their time to shine a little bit. I mean, yes, tough opposition. I mean, you're going up against one of, if not the best clubs in the world in the women's game, but you'd have figured that they would have felt their pride a little hurt after that first match. You know, you don't ever want a team coming in and kind of bossing it around for 90 minutes. You said frantic, but, you know, a 2-0 result is always a 2-0 result. So you'd have had to figure that Wolfsburg, they're going to play very attacking-minded, get chances. I mean, they had 12 attempts. They ended up getting the late goal and were trying to press for a second. If they did end up getting that second, then we'd have been going to extra time, ironically enough, with both teams away goals. But yeah, not good enough. That's why you need to play well for all 180 minutes over the two legs, because something that happens in minute 1 can come back to hurt you in minute 178, you know, at the end of the day. So that's really how it comes down to.
Yeah, and actually, do you know what? I would say that Wolfsburg did play well over the two games. They just came up against a team who were a little bit better. I think they, again, showed why they are, I would say, the second best team in the world behind Lyon. I think they have the right pieces of the puzzle. I think they probably, once Pernilla Harder has settled into that team, because she's still relatively new, she could be the key player for them in terms of the forward positions. I think she's still finding her feet a little bit. But at the other end, it surprised me because Lyon have gone to Wolfsburg and won 2-0. You might think that they would play a little bit more conservative. They might set up a little bit more defensively. Gérard Precheur, the Lyon head coach, went with Ada Hegerberg, Eugénie Le Sommer, Alex Morgan and Jennifer Marijan from the start. I mean, when you're defending a 2-0 lead, that's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean,
and you know, you still have the options off the bench as well, with Elodie Tommy not even getting a kick about in that one. That's pretty comical. But you know what? At the same time, I give them all the credit in the world, because it's very easy for you to maybe go at it with a coach saying, well, you play a defensive lineup even though you had this advantage. You know what? The coach wanted to give a result, give a good performance at home. They may have not gotten the result, but as you said, it was a lot of free-flowing, end-to-end attacking football. And as a fan, you'll always be happy with that, as opposed to watching two teams just sludge it around for 90 minutes.
Oh, it was brilliant, mate. Great entertainment over 180 minutes. Both legs were really fun to watch. JJ, I don't want to focus too much on individual players, because I have to say every single player in that game put in a shift, but Alex Morgan is obviously the focal point. I went to the Olympique Lyonnais club shop before the game to sort of see what was available. They had an Alex Morgan scarf that was had her number and her name on it, and you know, when she got the ball and when her name was read out during the match, you heard the crowd kind of elevate a little bit more maybe than you would have heard from other players. She played wide left of a front three. So they played Ada Hegerberg through the middle, they played Eugénie Le Sommer on the right and Alex on the left. One of the really key things for me with Alex, and what stood out over the two legs actually, because she played the same role in the second half in Wolfsburg, wasn't just the threat that she had going forward, but it was the defensive duties that she was clearly given but not just given them, she actually saw them through as well. Anna Blasse, the German international, played at right back, and she got forward at any opportunity that she could. But she wasn't able to influence the game as much as she maybe would have liked in Lyon, because tracking her all the way was Alex Morgan. And I think that's slightly different to what we've seen compared to what we've seen from Alex in America.
It is actually interesting that you brought that up. I'll get to your first point second, but talking about her defensive abilities, I think in any sport, you almost take a little bit of pride in your defensive abilities. Now, attacking-minded players, you're not always going to be asked all the time, well, your job might be to run around and try and cause havoc in the other team's back line, when they're possessing and knocking it around. She's done that for a decent amount of her career, but I'm kind of with you in the sense that we don't often see her, track the full 120 yards back, going in for a 50-50 ball, by the corner flag, and then, clearing her lines and getting her team forward in the process. Now, whether she did or didn't, then specific examples, but I think she doesn't get enough credit for her defensive abilities at times. I think, there will be some pundits out there who will say, well, she doesn't need to focus on this. She's a speedster and a finisher. Well, you know what? Players, as I said, they take pride in their defensive abilities. And she's a proud professional and wants to put in a good performance. And as to the first part, I'm not surprised that we're seeing Alex Morgan scarves left, right, and center, and people giving the appreciation of her game that they should. Because let's face it, you said a couple of years ago that she is a global superstar. And you know what? Now Alex Morgan is realizing how much her brand means to this sport all around the world.
Yeah, without a doubt, it wasn't a criticism, I can assure you. I just thought it was interesting because obviously Lyon's club store is there for men and women's football. And the main presence of the females was very much Alex. There was other memorabilia. There was, I think it was a mug or a cup with Wendy Renard's face on it and similar kind of things to that. I even saw a Lyon toaster. If anyone is interested in having a club-branded toaster, you can get a toaster from Lyon's club shop as well. But I think you're right. She won plaudits for the 2 games that she played in, for her work ethic and teamwork, and the way that she kind of adapted her game and adapted to a different position. And I guess in the rare occasion where sometimes Alex is not hugely in demand for media, I guess the fact that she's still learning her French and brushing up on her French, I got a bit of time with Alex, and the French media had kind of all dispersed by that time, so I got 5 minutes with her after the game. So actually I managed to ask her about the new position. So here she is having a chat with me after the game on Wednesday. So, semi-final awaits.
Yeah.
Tough game against Wolfsburg.
Definitely.
And assess the game for me as a whole.
It was a pretty physical match, and I think in the first half we played into Wolfsburg's game plan, which was to make us play long and to keep it more of a transition game. In the second half we did better, but Wolfsburg had quite a few chances. I think we're fortunate on one that hit off the post. And Sarah came up huge as well in goal, but we had to play like we were up 2-0, and once it was 2-1, obviously we needed to keep the ball and make sure that we didn't let them even get it near the box. So I think it was a fair assessment, 2-1. I think it was a fair assessment over the last 2 games. For me personally, I feel like I should have finished at least one of the chances that I got on goal, but at the end of the day, we're moving forward, and I'll be able to assess and analyze my game a little bit more in the coming days.
I watch a lot of NWSL. I cover the league out there as well. It felt like an NWSL game today. The pace and the quickness of the game, it kind of felt like a lot quicker than some of the European games that I've watched over the years.
Yeah.
Did it feel like that?
Yes, both matches in Wolfsburg and here felt very fast, and rewatching the last game in Wolfsburg as well, I was impressed by the speed, but at the same time, in training every day, the speed is very high, the tempo is very high. Playing with players like Marjan and Cami Abali, those are players that want to keep playing 1-2 touch, and so it's exciting. It's kind of expanding expanding my style of play personally, and I feel like I've learned a lot in my short time here, and I'm having a lot of fun with the players here.
I was going to say, because it's not just the attacking play that we're seeing. The first leg last week and the game today, there seems to be more defensive responsibility that's been placed on your shoulders as well. How are you adapting to that? Because that's maybe something that we've not seen you have to do maybe from your time in the States.
Yeah, I'm not used to that. Obviously, I want to save my energy for the attack, but obviously, I want to do what's called upon me, and if I have to, defend and track back on that outside back who goes forward, then that's what I need to do. So, it was unfortunate that I had an outside back and Blast that wanted to go forward every opportunity she could. So I needed, I needed to track her, and she needed to track me. And there were times that I was let free, and there were times that sometimes she was let free. So it's a different position for me to play. I'm not used to playing as a winger or a striker, kind of outside of the center of the pitch. But I'm learning, and I feel like for me, it's just taking advantage of those opportunities that I do get on goal, because they might not be as many as if I played centrally.
I was out in Carson for your camp in LA in January, and we spoke to you in the media scrum, and you were saying that you'd had a week, then you're away in camp, you come back, you're going away again. How difficult is that? Because you're just starting to get settled, you've started to score some goals as well, and now you're having to go away again. I know you cherish playing for the US team, I'm not questioning that.
I do.
But it's obviously difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it's difficult, but it feels like even though it's only been around 3 weeks or so that I've been here in between She Believes Cup and now going back after Sunday's match, it seems like a good amount of time, because I feel like I'm actually settled now. I feel like I've adjusted more to the style of play here. I've gotten to know my teammates a lot better on the field. I'm learning little bits of French that I could communicate with my teammates on the field a little bit better. So I think in these last 3 weeks, it's clicked a lot more than it has previously. So I'm happy with where I am right now, and obviously after the next games with the national team, we'll have a good bit of time together before the end of season. So I'm looking forward to that. Couple games against PSG, and then a final. Who knows who that's going to be against?
One final one. Heather O'Reilly's obviously over in London. I've been speaking to her quite a lot since she's been there. She was very pleased that you got through tonight. She's looking forward to a potential matchup against Carli Lloyd. Obviously, Man City and Fortuna play tomorrow. I know the game hasn't taken place yet, but that must be an exciting prospect to potentially come up against Carli.
Definitely. Carli signed on a little bit later than I did, so I didn't even think that was a possibility that I could be playing a U.S. teammate in Champions League, but it's a pretty unique opportunity. So if they do end up going through, then it'll be exciting, and obviously to be able to go play in Manchester will be great, because I haven't done that since 2012.
So that was Alex Morgan. JJ, we should round off the Women's Champions League review, because Lyon are going to have a difficult task on their hands, I think, because they're going to come up against Manchester City women, and like Barcelona, Manchester City are through to their first semi-final of the Women's Champions League, and the reason it's their first semi-final is because, unbelievably, this is their debut season in the competition. 2-0 aggregate victory over Fortuna Hjørring of Denmark, 1-0 win away, courtesy of Carli Lloyd's header, and a win at their Academy Stadium this week, courtesy of a Lucy Bronze header. Man City are going to prove a difficult task for Lyon, aren't they?
Yeah, no, they are. I mean, again, you look at the lineup that they have, there's not too many holes from backline to up top. I think they'll be a little disappointed, in their finishing. 16 chances in that match. Fortuna, I've seen that team a lot over the years, because I've had, colleagues who have featured for that side for a number of occasions, especially in Champions League. There's a definite gulf in class there. Not to say anything against Fortuna, because they're one of the best teams, if not the best, in Denmark. They're always consistently getting to the round of 16. This is great for them to get to the quarterfinals. But you look at the two sides, City should walk through that leg, the two legs, and they only come away with a 2-0 aggregate scoreline. I think they'll be a little disappointed. I know it's still very much, pre-season for a lot of these players, but they're going to have to get their finishing boots on when they play Lyon, because you're not going to get that many chances, and when you do get them, you have to finish.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think one of the big questions from my end, and what's going to be fascinating, is how do you score more than once against these two defences? Manchester City conceded 4 goals in the whole of the FAWSL season last year. They have been solid in this UEFA Women's Champions League campaign. We know with Lyon's back 4, they don't concede many goals either. It's going to be a fascinating semi-final because both defences are so solid.
Both defenses are solid and both attacks are really good. If anything, I'd probably give the upper hand to Lyon on the attacking side, and defense, just by the slimmest of margins, I give it to City. But yeah, this could be one of those that we may see more than 180 minutes from the two legs. Potentially.
I still have Lyon as favourites, and you say probably the attacking threat of Lyon is bigger. I would say definitely. I think one of the areas where City maybe will look to strengthen at some point, maybe in the future, is an out-and-out world-class number 9. I think Jane Ross is a really classy player. I think she's been a phenomenal addition to that squad, but she doesn't have anyone else. You know, they play Nikita Paris and Tony Duggan either side occasionally. Kosovari Aslani plays on out wide. Georgia Stanway played as a centre-forward in the FA Cup game against Reading. She's still very young, so it could be that she adapts into that role, but I'm not too sure. I prefer her as an attacking midfielder or out wide. I just wonder if City are lacking that number 9, like an Alex Morgan or an Ada Hegerberg, that Lyon have. They have Carli Lloyd, of course. Carli scored in the first leg. Someone tweeted me this week, who is City's biggest attacking threat? And I have to go with Carli, and the reason I have to go with Carli is because you look at her big game record, she always steps up to the plate. I think she could be the key for Man City. I know it's not a bold statement, but I think she is going to be the biggest threat.
Yeah, it's not bold, but you're 100% right. I mean, look, in that roster, who's played in Olympic finals and who's played in World Cup finals and has shown up on the day. I mean, that's all you need to know about this player's pedigree in Carli Lloyd. And she's a consummate professional, will always give 100% every time that she takes the field, no matter what team, even though I did joke a few weeks ago saying, hey, if she showed up for my 5-a-side team, I don't think she'll be giving 100% because, let's just face it, the level is about 10 levels down than where she plays. But listen, at the end of the day, I would take her abilities, and if City needed somebody to power through, say in the last half hour of leg 2, that you need to get a goal away from home, yeah, more often than not, she's going to be the player to get called upon.
Where do you think the key battle is in that one? I know we're focusing a little bit more on this one, but I think this is, of the two semi-finals, I think this is the one for me that stands out. Where do you think the key battle is between City and Lyon?
I think it's going to be the centre halves for City going up against that front 3. They're going to have to be very organized because, look, at the end of the day, you're going to have that 3 out-and-out striker set. Marjan probably just sitting in a little bit behind that, so you can almost kind of say 4. You always also have that, potential substitution of Tommy coming in, or maybe even she starts on a given day. You never know. But, City will have to be organized in that setup, and they're going to need their center halves, and most specifically Steph Houghton, to be on their game, both physically, mentally, and communicationally based. Because if you lose your mark, we've seen it. Eugenia Lesomera will torch you. Alex Morgan will have a day with you out wide, amongst others. So you know what? If you're not set there, it could be a long 2 matches for City.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? There's potential mini battles all over the field. I look at, if Alex Morgan plays wide left again, as we've just discussed, she comes up against Lucy Bronze. That's going to be a fascinating battle. Ada Hegerberg against Steph Houghton's a potential battle. Tell you what's interesting me, Kira Walsh against Jennifer Marjan. Kira Walsh is a 19-year-old midfielder who is settling into that Manchester City team very, very maturely, is playing like a player who's probably 5 years older than she actually is. Marjan will prove a big challenge for her, and it'll be interesting to see how she steps up to that one. But yeah, lots of battles all over the field. Those 2 semi-finals are going to be fun to watch. it's good that we get to see them twice. We get to see Lyon play Man City over 2 legs, PSG to play Barcelona over 2 legs. The dates of the contests are the weekend of the 22nd and 23rd of April and the 29th and 30th of April. Dates and kick-off times to be confirmed. But they're going to be fun, so keep an eye out for them. And of course, we will announce the details once they have been confirmed on our social media channels.